Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Anime1 back here with another video, and today I'm here with another part of What if Naruto had Gojo Satoru's powers. So if you guys like the content in the channel, please subscribe to the channel, and while you're at it, also like this video. So let's begin the video. Naruto, Kushina, and Fugaku were in training ground 8, in front of Sakuma Hatake. Well, the man did tell them to come at the training ground 8 at 5 o'clock, and he also arrived in time, unlike someone that's gonna be his son in the future. So, Sakuma looked at all of them. So, yeah, the test is simple. Since all of you are here, I'll start explaining. He said, as he brought out two bells. I have these two bells. All you have to do is take this from me. That's all. You'll have till 12 o'clock to take these bells from me. And if you fail, you go back to the academy. But, Sensei, we only have two bells, Kushina pointed out. Sakumo's eyes smiled at all of them. Well, that's the point. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Are you telling that one of us is gonna go back to the academy? Naruto said. Both Fugaku and Kushina snapped their heads towards Naruto with disbelieving eyes. Sakumo looked at Naruto with a smile. Smart as ever, Naruto. Well, you're right. The one who fails to get these blade bells from me is gonna go back to the academy, Sakumo said. All of them gulped, except Naruto was still figuring out something. A two-man cell, huh? Never heard of something like that. It would simply be a suicide squad. Even with someone as skilled as Sakumo-sensei, something is wrong here. Naruto thought, as he looked at his sensei and narrowed his eyes. Sakumo felt the gaze of the boy at him. He smirked. Maybe the boy figured out something. Maybe he didn't. Or he was starting to figuring it out. You wouldn't know. So he clapped his hand. And a clock appeared. As I said, at 12 noon. And if you're able to get the bells, you will pass. And if you don't, you will fail. So, begin, he said, as all the Genins vanished into their hiding spots. Huh. Well, all of them are good at hiding their chakra. Kushina, well, she has the highest of the chakra of all of them. Fugaku, I can barely sense him. Good, as expected, of the ear of the Uchiha clan. And Naruto. Sakumo actually closed his eyes and put his hand, two fingers on the ground, and sent a pulse. There he is. If I didn't use the sensing technique, I wouldn't have sensed him. Impressive for a Genin, Sakumo thought. Naruto was just looking at the man. So he figured out my position, huh? I guess as expected of the white fang of the leaf, Naruto thought. But then he started noticing something. We won't be able to get those bells, especially from someone as strong as him. It's basically impossible. He started brainstorming through all the situations. His six eyes also analyzed everything, that Sakumo's movements, his emotions, everything. Oh, so that's it, huh? I guess I'll have to find out that by doing this, Naruto thought as he vanished. Sakumo's sense to Naruto vanished from his position. I wonder where he's going, Sakumo thought. But then he had to jump back as a hail of kunai landed where he was, as Kushina came out and started battling Sakumo in a taijutsu battle. Well, it was a one-sided battle. Sakumo was pretty much dodging all of her punches and kicks, and he tried to form shadow clones, and it did work, but Sakumo simply substituted himself with a log when Kushina tried to pierce him with her chakra chains. Sakumo looked at Kushina from the top of her branch. Impressive for a Genin, Kushina, I must add. You truly deserve the name of the heir of the Uzumaki clan. However, he said, as you vanished and appeared behind Kushina. You're too slow, he said, as he kicked her away, and Kushina crashed into a tree as he coughed out saliva. He then kicked her so hard that she would cough up blood. Then Sakuma had to jump back as several kunais landed where he was, as he noticed Kushina was gone. So they're working as a team, huh? He thought, as he sensed Naruto was the one who got Kushina away from there. That boy is truly something. Kushina was shaking around as Naruto was carrying her bridal style and jumping from tree branch to tree branch. She looked at him. "Let go of me, bastard! What's the deal?" she said, as she was blushing as well. Naruto looked at Kushina and sighed. "Just stay still for a moment. Once I land and find Fugaku, I'll explain," he said. Kushina puffed out her cheek as she sighed. "Very well." She just let the boy carry her away. She looked at Naruto's face. God damn it, why did he have to be so goddamn handsome? Fugaku was absorbing the situation. He was looking around, and he saw the battle between Sakuma and Kushina. If that girl couldn't do anything, I might as well. I'm also the same. I'm not arrogant enough to think that I have a chance against the White Fang of the Leaf. Fugaku thought. Yeah, he also had his one Tomoe Sharingan in both of his eyes. He had unlocked it while training, so that was that. But he still couldn't see how they would get the bells. It was impossible. Then he felt a presence behind him and he turned his head to look at Naruto, who put Kushina to the ground and looked at Fugaku. "Yo, Fugaku," Naruto said. Fugaku gave him a nod. "What do you want, Naruto?" he asked. "Well, if we want to pass this test, we'll have to work together. There's simply no other way. Sakuma Sensei is simply too powerful," Naruto said. And Fugaku looked at him. He had to nod. "Well, even if we work together, there's no way that all of us will pass," he said. Naruto shrugged. "Well, you and Kushina can move on. I'll stay back in the academy, but I doubt it's about that," Naruto said. Fugaku looked at him confused. "What do you mean?" he asked. "Well, have you ever heard of a two-man cell?" Naruto asked. Fugaku shook his head, and so did Kushina. "Well, it's simple. Konoha values teamwork over everything, and I mean everything. So it's quite simple what this test is about." He put out two bells trying to put us against each other, and seeing that if we would abandon our comrades, that simple as that, and if we don't abandon our comrades and work together for a single mission or a goal, we will succeed. That's what this test is about, Naruto said. Fugaku and Kushina widened their eyes. It all made sense now. "So if it's what you're telling, as long as we work together, we'll pass the test, even if we don't get the bells," Fugaku said. Naruto nodded with a smirk. "Yes, but that won't be fun now, will it? Let's get the bells and shock Sakumo-sensei. I have a plan. Guys, all you need to do is follow my lead." Sakumo stood in the same field that he and Kushina had almost fought several hours ago. He looked up at the three stumps that had the clock on top of it. "It's nearing noon now. It seems like they're all gonna fail. I'll do that food trick on them after if they fail," Sakumo thought as he kept on reading his book that was in his hand. He was so bored that he actually took out a book. And there was only 10 minutes left till noon was delivered to all of them. Sakumo suddenly gained a eye smile. "Oh, you're all working together now. Remember, there are only two bells." Sakumo replaced himself with three locks as three people simultaneously attacked him from behind. Sakumo appeared a few meters away, still reading his book. "Doesn't matter what else we're supposed to do. Work alone and feel humiliated? I'd rather not," Fugaku said, glaring at Sakumo, pulling out a kunai from his holster. Sakumo looked up and continued to smile at the Gettins. "It seems to me like I won't be able to read my book for the time being." Seared Sakumo, putting the book back on his holster. The three genin also readied themselves, getting into their stances. Sakumo smirked. "Give me your best shot." The three genins glared at him and shot forward. They were going to steal the bells from the white fang of the leaf, and nothing was going to stop them. The team rushed towards Sakumo. It seems like he was going to take this fight just a tad more seriously than expected. "You're all under 10 minutes to get these bells from me." Sakumo was still relaxed, but was ready to fight the three genins. Naruto was the first one to move at Sakumo. A punch, he thought, ducking down to avoid the punch. But before he could counteract, two kicks were directed at him at a simultaneous rate. Sakumo dodged by leaning away just a tiny bit so the kick would miss directed. Then he counteracted by grabbing Kushina's leg, and due to her being the weakest in the team, Sakumo then pinned her foot on the ground and used that as leverage to regain his balance. He was about to go on for another attack, but had to stop advancing once he saw kunai thrown straight towards him. He replaced himself with a woodlock. "Be on the lookout," said Fugaku, glancing around at the area for any potential movement that could be caused by Sakumo. Naruto soon noticed a shadow looming over Fugaku. "Fugaku, move out of the way!" Fugaku couldn't react in time as he was about to hit Sakumo's fist. Naruto slightly gritted his teeth, summoning a shadow clone right next to him. That clone threw him straight towards Fugaku. Naruto looked at Kushina. "Throw a kunai," he said, just low enough to where Kushina could hear his voice. She nodded, pulling out a pair of kunai from her holster. Kushina then threw the kunai right towards Sakumo. Naruto managed to get Fugaku out of there during this distraction. "Shit, thanks I guess. Actually, I didn't need your help." Fugaku huffed. Naruto just shrugged, putting him back on the ground. Kushina walked up right beside the two of her teammates, and the next step of the plan was on their list. Lesson 3, Ninjutsu. Sakumo looked at them, waiting for three to make their move. Naruto initially huffed, slightly analyzing the environment just in case they needed to improve their current plan. "Fugaku, we need to do a jutsu." He nodded, knowing what exactly the two needed to do to pass this test. The two started weaving through hand signs. Ram, snake, monkey, boar, tiger, horse. The two inhaled, fire style, fireball jutsu. Then they both simultaneously exhaled a shot out a huge fireball from their mouth towards Sakumo. Sakumo widened his eyes, and seeing that Naruto and Fugaku both have fire change in chakra nature. Fugaku I can understand, but Naruto, he should likely have wind because of him being a Uzumaki. Sakumo went through hand signs, earth style, mud wall. A large wall suddenly started to rise up from the ground. It appeared very quickly and shielded him from the potentially hurt attack from the two fireballs that Naruto and Fugaku had soared and aimed right towards him. A large amount of smoke started to cover the area as the mud wall was still up and running. Sakumo suddenly heard them start to run right towards him, but the real question that needed to be asked, which way were they running? Suddenly the clouds of smoke started to tear apart as three people emerged from different sides and angles. Kushina appeared on his left, Fugaku appeared on his right, and Naruto appeared on the top of the mud wall. Sakumo stopped, crouching down, and jumped back slightly to dodge the punch that they all tried to give him. He heard a noise emerge from the back. Sakumo had to react quickly by using his legs to twist and redirect himself. He brought his foot up and destroyed a clone that was coming from Naruto. Then the rest of the smoke had cleared and revealed Naruto, Fugaku, and Kushina standing right beside the mud wall and slowly crumbling back down to the ground. Sakumo stood right back up to regain his balance. Their teamwork is quite impressive. Naruto alone was able to put up a pressure on me with our fight quite a while back. This team, it has a lot of potential, even though it's not balanced at all. Sakumo thought, going right towards the trio. Naruto looked at two of them and nodded. Go at him, but remember, time your attacks with each other. They nodded, readying themselves for another fight. Fugaku and Kushina went first while Naruto kept on analyzing. After a few more seconds, Naruto followed right after them. He looked at the two before suddenly rushing in and taking the unexpected kick that was aimed right towards Sakumo. So they wanted to throw me off by having these two make it seems like they're going to attack first and not Naruto. Almost caught me by surprise there, Sakumo thought, using his forearm to block the attack from Naruto. From the corner of his eye, he saw Fugaku and Kushina aim a kick right at the nape of his neck. Sakumo reacted by tilting his neck to the back so he could fully dodge it. The two missed and withdrawn their legs back to themselves. Watch out, sensei, Naruto said, bringing his feet up and kicking him away. Sakumo suddenly heard the bells clang as he was being pushed back. He looked down and saw Kushina reached out towards the bell and attained them for the team. Sadly, Sakumo managed to lightly kick the arm and the hand away. He landed back and saw Kushina get up from the ground right after the blow to her arm that had subsided to a substantial degree. Kushina's eyes looked further beyond. Sakumo did the same and saw Fugaku reached towards the bells by his pockets. He looked right beside and saw Naruto also reach for the bells. He was about to do this counter-attack, but soon that the Naruto and Fugaku right behind him were merely just shadow clones. Kushina created these two shadow clones and hence them to look like Naruto and Fugaku. Sakumo thought there was barely 30 seconds left on the clock. He was right behind them once more. God, they don't want an old man like me to take a break, now do they? Sakumo thought with a sad drop, seeing all three of them lean and jump for the bells. Though since they were all clustered up, it seems like it was easier for Sakumo to kick them away just in time. They had 20 seconds left. Just do what you have to do, said Naruto, getting a pairs of nod right next to him. Naruto glanced back at the clock for a moment. 11 seconds left. Better make this count, Naruto thought, jumping in to the air and throwing a pair of kunai right at Sakumo's head. He looked up and blocked the kunai with another kunai of his own. 8 seconds left, Naruto thought, glancing back at the clock once more. He wondered if he could do another fireball due to the in time. No, there was no way he could do that in time. 5 seconds left, Naruto thought, summoning a shadow clone right beside him. The shadow clone threw him almost immediately at Sakumo, right before Fugaku and Kushina jumped front and back from their bells. It was almost like time had stopped for the team as a whole. Their timer had less than 2 seconds left until it was noon, but it felt much longer than just 2 seconds. Sakumo had two choices at hand. Either get hit by Naruto and tackle to the ground, or risk losing the bells. Shit, he was now cornered. I will have to lose the bells, Sakumo thought, throwing a kunai from his holster. And right at that split moment, everything was over with. Rank. The redirect Naruto sat up with a satisfied look on his face as he looked at Fugaku and Kushina. Naruto then leaned back on the ground, looking up at the sky and the turned noon. He sighed. tired with the amount of fighting he had to do. Well, he didn't use any of his strong abilities, but he was still tired with this pure taijutsu. Naruto now finally understands the huge difference between him and Sakumo, who was the white fang of the leaf, probably the strongest Jonin in Konoha. It was a very large gap between him and Sakumo that he will have to reach. The only reason he managed to take the belts was because they worked as a team and overcame the challenge with teamwork. Though they could have managed to get the belts without planning of Naruto's. Probably not. Naruto heard the two slowly get up from the ground and walk towards Naruto, with silence looming between the two as they made their way towards their teammate's location. Here, they said in unison as the two bells hanging right in front of their hands. Naruto looked at them from the ground and raised an eyebrow at them. Why? Because you were the reason we got the bells in the first place. Every moment that passed, you were already making many moves ahead of the game, while we all fought him. Naruto heard Fugaku said that with actual envy. To think you would actually praise a lowly person like me. It warms my heart, Fugaku, Naruto said, yawning as he looked back at the sky. So many clouds illuminated over the world. You're far away from being a lonely person, Naruto, Fugaku said. Naruto shrugged, not caring how much Fugaku was wanting to slap in the face for ignoring him with just a simple shrug. I agree with Fugaku. Ah, well, there isn't much importance in these bells, you know. They raised an eyebrow at Naruto, seemingly confused at him, the word that came out of his mouth. But what do you mean by that? The two asked, gazing at the laid-back Naruto in front of them. I already figured out the hidden motive behind this test a while ago. I told you. Did you forget? They seemed oblivious. Teamwork to defeat Sakumo-sensei. The bells had very little to no importance whatsoever because they were only to split us apart and drift us away from the thought of actually using the teamwork, Naruto said. And you figured this much out because? Kushina asked, curiously on Naruto's mindset when thinking about these things. Naruto had a slight pause, just to gaze at the sky for a moment or two. Sakumo-sensei sort of gave it away, Naruto said, making them raise an eyebrow. How? They asked. Well, the first thing was when he talked about the bell test we all were doing. Sakumo-sensei said that the person who doesn't have to get the bell gets dropped and goes back to the academy. But this doesn't make sense. What do you mean? It makes perfect sense. He literally said that the person who doesn't have the two bells will be sent back to the academy. Fugaku narrowed his eyes at the boy. I mean, that doesn't make sense if you don't look closer. Oh, Naruto was doing this weird thingy where he was now saying and went through all the situations. It made sense, but it also didn't make sense at all. If two people had passed the survival test, then that means they will be lacking a member of a team. If they lack a member in their team, the team will slowly crumble down. Fugaku sighed, knowing what Naruto is going to say. Full of brains and power, but still doesn't know how to act like a normal person. The Manji formation is a basic that is used by many, but there's the thing, it needs 4 people to work. If there is one genin missing, then only 3% will be left. The Manji formation would still fail due to them being unable to protect the clients from 4 sides. The two nodded, wondering where this was leading to. The 2 genins and a sensei would only work if 2 genins were very strong from the start, but even then, there is a limitations that what they could do, and they would only hold them back. I would rather not explain this in more detail, but you get the idea. Teamwork was the true requirement to pass this survival test. The three suddenly heard a clap from afar. Naruto sat up and turned his head alongside the other two to see who was that person that was clapping in front of them. There was Sakumo, looking at all three of his genins with a smile. Correct, Naruto. You know, if you had a fully black hair and black eyes, you could almost pass for an Nara. By this, I mean you're a very smart individual. Naruto nodded, not caring for the praise that he had just been given. Anyway, yes, this whole entire survival exercise that I had given you was to simply test your teamwork. But the other Jonin senseis did something similar, but was not probably as the hard as I gave you. And Fugaku was puzzled at that, though it almost expected of you three to pass. But even then, this variant of the survival test is much harder than the exercises that the other teams might have gone through, except Jiraiya Sensei's team. This brought up question from Fugaku. Why this survival exercise made to revolve around the use of teamwork? This caused Sakumo to lose his smile that was on his face. Well, that is quite a simple question to answer, if I'm being honest. Sakumo said, bringing up his head and looking up at the sky. In this world, the people who break the rules are scum. That's true. But for me, the people who abandon their friends are worse than scum. Again, it's a rule that I follow by and will abide by to the day I die, he said. They all looked at him. Did you borrow that somewhere? They all said with a deadpan look. Sakumo's thread dropped. No, I didn't borrow that line. I made it up myself. As I said, it's my ninja way to protect my comrades, even before the mission itself, he said. They all looked at him. You're really amazing, Sensei, Naruto said. Sakumo looked at him. And why is that? You value teamwork and the comrades over everything. It's hard to find that these days, he said. Sakumo, I smiled at Naruto. And by anyway, you all passed the test. They nodded, satisfied at the word that had just been told to them. Our first mission is tomorrow. Get ready and meet me at this training ground once again in the morning. I'll see you here tomorrow. And with that, Sakumo started walking away. Things were about to get interesting, that was for sure. Naruto looked up at the sky. He may not have used his most powerful techniques in this battle, but he was sure even if he used them, he could not get a bell from Sakumo. The man was holding back, and Naruto could sense that. Nothing could get past his eyes. He was Naruto Uzumaki, the boy who graced the earth.